So let's go over the conversation I had with Elaine Crowell real quick when she was firing me over the phone. This was Sunday, December 18th, 2022. I'd just come back from town. This was about 1:30-ish in the afternoon. I'd just come back from town from picking up my medicine. Why? Because I was paid late Friday night. Spent a good chunk of Saturday trying desperately to get some of my bills, my bills that were past due paid, one of them being my ADHD doctor, so that I get my prescription sent in to go pick up Saturday when I was going into town to get all the food and groceries and stuff I desperately needed. Because we were hoping, well, I was hoping, and no, I heard some other people hoping that the first time around when our direct deposit paychecks were late, because this would have been the second direct deposit paycheck since we gave them our direct deposit information. So we were hoping that the first time around when the direct deposit checks came in 5 days after we turned in the timesheets, when they really should have been there like next day, maybe 2 days later, because it's direct deposit. And when they came in 5 days later, we were hoping like maybe that was just a blip because they just started. No, it did the same exact thing the next week. I was trying to adopt a puppy. I was talking to the breeders. I was trying to adopt a blue heeler that I had my heart set on, named Watson, and I was telling a bunch of people about him. He mysteriously, like, I was talking with the breeders all the way up to the night before I got my paycheck, and they were like, "Yes, he's still available. Just send us the down payment when you can, as soon as you can." And then suddenly, as like the day that I got paid, the very next day, their website was taken down and everything. They wouldn't respond to my emails. That's great. And that was like one of just so many crazy things happening. Like, if I had contacted them yesterday, they'd have been there. And it wasn't a scam. I consider that because it's like I didn't send them any money. First of all, don't they disappear after you send them the money? And secondly, they were all over like proper breeder sites and stuff. I went to a bunch of proper healer breeder sites. And it wouldn't have been hard for people to suss out, like, because I showed a bunch of people. I showed Jorge, I showed a bunch of people, like, video that they sent me of him, of the puppy, and pictures. And based on the fact that I said his name is Watson, and based on, I think some of the wording and stuff in the frames of the pictures and the video, I don't think it would have been hard for, if somebody wanted to figure out where the breeder was, who the breeder was, and, like, for whatever reason tell them, don't adopt me or something. I don't know. It's just like stuff like that was happening all the time. Like, one of the kittens I wanted to adopt, so then I was like, I'll get the kittens. I wanted to get a healer. I've been thinking about getting a healer for years. And because of what happened with the coyote and my one kitten, I was like, maybe this is the time. This is the best time. This is a great place for dogs. Lots of people are walking their dogs out on the beach and stuff. It'd be great to have a healer that follows me all around this island and just sits outside the barn and keeps his scent all around the barn, keeps the coyotes away from it. And he'll be able to alert me sooner rather than later, like, if there's a problem with the cats. And I'm good at socializing animals, like cats and dogs, so that they see each other as family. I've already got my 2-year-old male cat is literally just kissing noses with a little baby kitten male cat that's not his. And they just started cohabitating a few days ago. Because I'm good at socializing animals. I'm good with animals like that. And again, people used to ask me, we're asking me on the island, how did you train your cats? I didn't. Why do they follow you around like that? Because I'm their mama and they love me. Because I'm a good cat mama. Because I'm a good pet owner. I'm good with animals. So, just in case that's ever like something that's brought up, no, I'm very good with animals. When it comes to, but also for as good as people are with animals, there's always going to be one or two here and there that just ornery is. They give everybody trouble. So there was, again, Willie gives like everybody trouble out of the horses in the barn. And Faith does freak out on people. I was warned about her if you walk up on her weird. So those are only two that gave me really any trouble. Like consistent trouble. Again, I rode Cinch once, but he wasn't tamed or broken. He's thrown Jorge, he's thrown people, and he threw me. but still snuggled me in the stall after that every time I would get in there with him. Yeah. And I've tacked up like some of the newer horses too, and didn't have a problem. Or helped Jorge tack them up and didn't have a problem. But then Valenti is tacking up Buck, and Buck freaks out. Like, freaks out. Like, look at his eye. It was like, I want to get away from this dude. I want to get away from him. So anyway, so let's go over, real quick, let's go over my conversation with Elaine Crowell. So, yeah, I didn't get into the pharmacy soon enough before they closed Saturday night. And I was down to like a half a pill. Anybody who takes ADHD meds, anybody who takes Adderall for ADHD knows what that's like, because it's like, I could get sick if I run out of my medicine. I can't be running out of my medicine. That's no bueno. So I need my pay to be steady. It can't be messed with all the time, like every other week. That's ridiculous. I'm sure lots of people out there would agree. I'm sure lots of other work campers would agree. Like, yeah, can't have our pay being messed with all the time. Like, we should be able to depend on our pay to come in a regular fashion, and in a timely fashion. So yeah, I started freaking out. It was just too much. I like didn't know what I was gonna do. It is a ridiculous pain in the butt to drive all the way back into town. Again, town's an hour drive from the island, and now I was gonna have to drive back all the way back into town the next morning. That's gas. Oh, and I ran out of propane waiting on this paycheck. So I hadn't showered, no hot water, no cooking. I had to spend extra money to buy a camper top cooker with like those extra little propane tanks. And the propane guy who comes out and delivers propane to the island showed up, about an hour before my paycheck came through. So it was really like, are you serious? Are you serious? So I'm just turning off. I'm cooking some of the groceries I bought with that paycheck before they go bad in my refrigerator, my RV refrigerator, because I don't have any electric hookup. So my refrigerator only works if I'm running the generator, which is gas. And like I said, they kicked me off the island with like $350 to my name. So I'm trying to make sure some of the stuff doesn't go bad. I had mushrooms and onions and stuff, and yeah. So I called Jorge because I'd already been venting to him. Now, recall, please, I'll repeat this, and it's very important you recall this. I was not of a mind to start really talking about my life with Jorge when I first started this job. I just wanted to get in the barn, do my work, get out of the barn, and go back to my RV and work on what I consider to be my real work, stopping shutting down pedophile networks. And doing the investigative journalism I've been doing for the last 2 years. And looking into backgrounds on my suspects and stuff and finding connections between them, which I'd already found a lot, but this is the kind of thing it's like, I could work on it the rest of my life. It'll never be done, because every suspect identified, they have like at least 3 to 5 other people they're connected with. And remember how I said that this network is probably ranges at least in the millions, a few million. Probably at least roughly around the numbers that we have Freemasons, and that's about 6 million in the world. I crunched the numbers. I was trying to figure out like exactly what are the numbers I'm dealing with and what am I coming up against. I'm not great with numbers, but I'm good enough to do some statistics. I sit down and figure out what some of the factors and variables. So yeah, I called Jorge, like, outside the pharmacy, like, I just don't know what to do anymore. It is all, like, nothing is going right. Nothing. My cat had died. And of the kittens that I was going to adopt, one disappeared. Just off the face of the earth. Yeah, it's like weird shit just going on. Weird stuff. Like it couldn't have gone any weirder or wronger, more wrong if it'd been planned, that's why I started to think, like, I always say, yes, there's room for coincidence in life. Yes, there's coincidence in life. But there's only so much coincidence in life, really. If you think about it, and once you reach a certain level of coincidence, you've gone past coincidence and into human conspiracy. Human beings conspire all the time. They conspire to throw birthday parties. For those of you who are like conspiracy theorists, you're not paying attention to the world. Human beings conspire all the time. You should look into it. Turn off American Idol or whatever the nonsense is you're watching. What's the new Netflix nonsense? Turn that shit off. Read some real stuff. Read about what's really going on in the world. Like, read about the Clintons providing... Oh, Jorge and I got into talking about this. Read about the Clintons providing gun power down to the gangs down in Central America in exchange for cocaine. And then they brought cocaine up here and had street dealers deal it out on the city's streets. And so the Clintons, in no small way, are responsible for all the gangs taking over down in Central America and displacing all those families and the immigrant, what do they call them? The migrations coming up, the caravans coming up through Mexico. We got into talking about that a bit. Like I said, Jorge was the one who started pressing me for stuff about me first. Within the first week, I'd say, roughly, of starting that job, I knew so much about Jorge, and I didn't ask. He just threw it at me. I knew that he had, like, 2 wives down in Mexico. Well, he had an official wife, and then he had a baby mama. I knew that, like, half his kids didn't want to speak to him. I knew he built his own house. I knew he had, like, 100-acre farm. I'm assuming, again, this is just assuming that he was telling me the truth about this stuff. I knew that his oldest daughter was in school to be a doctor, and he was trying to put her through school. And that's what I would tell everybody in riders and stuff, to try to, like, get them to give him bigger tips. It's like, oh my gosh, Jorge's the best. Oh my gosh, he saves all his money and he sends it home to pay for his daughter to go to school. Now I'm wondering if she's even going to school to be a doctor, or if he's just playing me the whole effing time. I knew that he was planning, like, throw a huge baptism party for his 3-year-old daughter. Yeah, he's got a daughter in college and a 3-year-old. I knew he was 44. I knew he had, like, 5 siblings. I knew that his mother lost some children when he was young. I knew ridiculous amounts of shit about this dude by the end of, like, the first week. And he was just telling it to me. Just saying it to me. And then starts pressing me for stuff about me. Oh, and by the way, also, during the course of my working there, like, we would sit around, myself, Laura Stage, Quinn and his parents, Rennie, and Stacy, and Jorge, and Mike, the maintenance guy, and the random kids, and even some people who worked over at the bar, at oyster roasts and stuff, and talk about our childhoods, talk about where we come from, talk about all kinds of stuff. Disciplinary tactics our parents used on us. All kinds of stuff. Oh, so did you guys know that? Did you know? So wait till you hear this. Wait to hear what Elaine said to me. Ready? So let's get on to what Elaine said to me. So I kind of knew the firing was coming the next day on Sunday. I called Jorge Saturday night, freaking out, venting, like, crying in tears. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. It's just shit on top of shit since I got here. I gotta spend more gas coming out here tomorrow. More money on gas coming out here tomorrow to get my prescription. Cause, like, everything's getting thrown off because of these our paychecks coming in late, so on and so forth. So where was I? Sorry, my ADHD meds are wearing off. It's the end of the day. Yeah, and he already knew, because I had been venting to him for a few weeks about, like, I don't know, dude. This is just crazy. Everything seems to be going wrong. Ugh. Sorry. And so, of course, at this point, also, I'm thinking, we're friends. I know a bunch about him. He knows a bunch about me. We've done each other favors. I've gone into town on days when he couldn't go and like exchange stuff, shoes that he got for his daughter because he got the wrong size and things like that for him. I have, when he was taking back-to-back rides out, as in he would take one ride out and come back in, and then he'd have maybe 30 minutes before he'd have to take another ride out. Like, we weren't even untacking the horses. They're just going right back out on a ride. And because I was worried about him and his diabetes, I would have like a sandwich ready. I freaking made him BLT with fried bread. Fried bread. I fried the bread and toasted it. I fried it. You can ask Laura Stage that too, because I made her one as well. And offered one to Mina. Let's see, what else? I made a bunch of people on that island food. BLTs and such. I would always tell like Mina and Quinn, like, go eat something, go home and eat something good for you. So on and so forth. So I could tell the next morning, well, not the next afternoon, because I had to spend the next morning, Sunday morning, the 18th, driving all the way back into town. And Jorge was like, just calm down, just calm down. I'm really getting sick of being told to just calm down. You know, there are times when it's called for to, like, freak out because, like, everything is fucking crazy and the walls feel like they're closing in. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And exactly how is staying calm going to fix it? And I had my time of trying to stay calm and it just kept getting worse. So it's like, maybe a little freaking out is called for. And he told me like I should stay in town for the night and pick up my prescription and come back in. And I was like, I had an RV full of groceries already. I didn't know where I should just park up. I didn't feel like, I just wanted to like go home and hook up my RV again and like try to clean my RV and try to like just chill out and figure out how I'm going to be okay with half a pill of my Adderall until I could pick it up the next morning. So I went Sunday morning out and back to town and picked up my prescription. And I drove all the way back to the island. So at that point, it was about 1-ish. Between noon and 1. And it wasn't, and I started hearing, well, it was Mina who texted me first. Hey, have you seen or heard from Elaine? And I was like, no. Why? Oh, I don't know. I just heard she was looking for you. Why? I just overheard something. I was like, oh, here it comes. Oh, I also kind of started to suspect a little bit because I saw Jorge helping Amanda like unload stuff, and Amanda's trailer is right near mine. Amanda works in the office. She also used to work in the barn, and I was told when I first started working there that she was bullied out of the barn. I suspect now, though, to make it look good, they'll probably ask her to like fill in the barn, so they have an official American citizen who speaks English working next to Valenti. And Amanda like coveted working in the barn and wanted to go back working there, but not under Jeremy because apparently she was bullied out and went and worked in another part of the island. Meanwhile, when I got there, Jeremy told me he did not want me working in the motel. He didn't want me working anywhere except in the barn. So I was offered hours and stuff in the motel. I turned them down. I said I can't. Jeremy only wants me working in the barn. Jeremy barred me from working anywhere else on that island except in the barn. Those were one of his last orders to me before he left. Meanwhile, you've got some of the other people, like, they can move between, like, Amanda and Laura, they worked in the motel and in the front office. So they can fill out their hours more. I didn't mind. I didn't mind just doing barn duties and then having the time to go back to my RV and work on my investigative journalism. All right? As long as I was going to get screwed over. So then I hear somebody calls me up. I think it was Amanda. Called me up from the office and said, hey, has Elaine contacted you? And I was like, no, what's going on? She said, I don't know. David came into the office and said to find you because Elaine needs to talk to you. And then I knew, like, oh, it's coming. And the night before when I saw Jorge, when I got back to the island, that's the last time I saw him. He just gave me like a dirty scowl look from across from over at Amanda's trailer. And I was like, and he was supposed to leave for Mexico the next morning. But at that point, I was also like very much like realizing this dude's picking me apart, finding reasons to pick me apart. And this is a big part of the problem here. It's like wearing me down. So then finally I hear from Elaine around 1:30. She called me to fire me and said, they came out all the way out to the island to fire Laura in person. Laura Halley, the manager, they fired her in person. But I got fired over the phone by Elaine. And she started off with, oh, I'm sorry to do this over the phone, but it's just not working out. Sorry, what? What do you mean it's just not working out? We've had complaints. I'm sorry, what? Complaints from whom? And she refused to tell me who was complaining about me. She said she didn't have to tell me. I was like, how can you fire me when I don't know the people? You're saying people are complaining about me and I have no clue who's complaining about me. First of all. Second of all, nobody has come to me with any issues with my work or anything like that. Nobody. Except Jorge occasionally doing little picking apart stuff in the barn and going like, I'm trying to think of an example. Just little stuff like hold it this way, don't hold it that way. And it seemed like even when I would hold it that way, like still he was like, wasn't good enough. You know, like when I would hold it the way he told me, still wasn't good enough. But then like I would see Quinn just like do the same exact thing, you know, and he's not picking Quinn apart. He would pick Quinn apart when Quinn wasn't there to me and say Quinn's not doing his job right. And, you know, I don't know, Quinn's going to have his job very long. And I would stick up for Quinn and say, come on, he's just a kid. He's a teenager. This is like a good job for him to start learning responsibility and blah, 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 blah. And saying like, I think he just needs a friend his age. I think that's a lot of it. He's desperate for connection and like to hang out and stuff. He needs a friend his age around. Like he doesn't have anybody here. It's an isolated island. He's like the only teenage boy around. So, and I was like, and I think that just spills over into like, he wants people to talk to. So he just talks during a lot of his work time in the barn. Like Jorge and I would chat and as you're working and get stuff done. But Quinn would just like get into talking and just forget to do the work altogether. So it was like, there was a difference there. I was like, he's got to just learn this, you know, this trick of like doing the work while chatting. He's still a teenager. Give it some time. So I was sticking up for him left, right, and center. And because I was afraid that I was actually afraid that I was going to be showing up and taking this kid's job. Like they were going to end up just like firing him. And it was going to be blamed on me that I was getting his job or something. Silly me, right? Silly me. Anyway, so Elaine flat out refused to tell me who was complaining about me, except that she let it slip though, because so I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. I was like, so nobody has complained to me. Nobody has taken issue with my work, any official issue and said like, you need to do this better. Nothing like that. And in fact, like for almost as many times as Jorge found something to pick apart about me, it's like, he's made as many mistakes. You know, he's left Dolly tethered and I've had to untether her. And so like, he makes plenty of mistakes too, that I have, not made a big deal out of and just went, oh, don't worry, I got it. And he would look kind of angry sometimes when that would happen, like angry that I caught him in a mistake. Okay, and not angry at himself. Like I get angry at myself when angry at me that I caught him in a mistake. Anyway, so I'm like, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem fair. I feel like I'm being sabotaged then. If people are complaining about me, they're not bringing the issues up to me. They're not making any official complaints about my work or anything like that. So you guys it feels like you guys are just firing me out of the blue. And she said, I kid you not, she said, welcome to the real world. When you text people things and call and say things to people, they can show it to other people. And then I realized, oh, I guess when I called Jorge last night and was like in tears, going, I don't know what to do anymore. Things are just like going crazy. Everything's going wrong. I was wondering if maybe David decided he was going to listen in on that. Since, again, Jorge had already told me that David demands to see his phone and or listen in on conversations. And I'd already seen plenty of that going on amongst the owners and the HR manager and Jeremy, having open phone calls that like other people are listening in on. And yeah. So yeah. So Biatchi, Little Miss Biatch said, well, welcome to the real world. Yeah, welcome to the real world, bitch. This is the real world, Elaine, where we have freedom of speech, which means I can recount everything you've said and done in spades to whomever I want all over the internet and tell everyone that you're a crusty cunt biatch, that you really are a total fucking cunt bag. Like, you are an asshole. Because she also said, like, I was like, you guys couldn't have done this like 2 days ago along with my paycheck so that I could have parceled that off better. I just paid bills. I just bought a bunch of food, stocked up, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to make it back into town again. You know, I barely have any of that paycheck left to travel with now. You guys are just kicking me off the island. Can you guys just let me stay and work another week or 2 weeks and earn another paycheck so I could at least have some money, real money to travel with? She said, fine. So you send me your timesheet for this week. And I'll send it to you on PayPal. After all the struggle trying to get them to send me my previous paychecks on PayPal. Yeah. And I was like, so, okay, with all the problems I was having, getting your paper paychecks cashed and having your direct deposit paychecks come in so late, you guys couldn't have sent me those paychecks over PayPal before, but you can send me this one over PayPal to get rid of me? And she said, you're lucky I'm doing this. I can extend it another 5 days if I want. Yeah, bitch cunt. Okay. Hey, work campers. Watch out for Elaine Crowell. She's HR manager for David Saint Sing and Jeff Krumsick. Up at High Point, North Carolina, their High Point location, High Point Resort. And she probably helps oversee like other management companies at their other locations. Like she probably oversaw Laura Halley, who's a manager out at the island. But Elaine is based, I believe, back at High Point. So you might not even ever see her, but be careful if you're working under her. If I were you, I'd watch, keep track. Especially, so if you're going to work on Cedar Island Ranch, guess what? You're working under her somewhere. And you're working under these piece of shit owners who hired her and thinks that she's a good idea to, have managing their employees and stuff. So, yeah, Elaine, welcome to the real world, Dumptruck. Is that your feelings? Because it was, and then she told me, you shouldn't be telling, get this, she said, you shouldn't be telling, I was like, so then when I realized it was Jorge, I was like, I'm sorry, so I'm being fired because I called my coworker who I thought was my friend and vented to him about my reservations about this job and if it was going to work out. How is that any of the owner's business unless I bring it to you and say that? I didn't do that. I was talking to a coworker who I thought was my friend. She said, well, you should talk to a therapist. You shouldn't be talking to your coworkers like they're your friends, like telling them your whole life. Now remember, it was Jorge that spilled out his whole freaking life to me like the first freaking week. I didn't need to know he has 2 wives back in Mexico. I didn't need to know that half his kids don't want to talk to him. I didn't need to know that like half of his siblings don't want to talk to him either. I didn't need to know any of this shit. My brain's full of enough stuff. With the pedophile network I'm trying to catch. So it's like, excuse me, bitch? Excuse me? By the way, that breeds an environment of paranoia where you just are looking over, every coworker and employee is going to be looking over their backs. They're going to feel like they can't confide in each other, like they can't befriend each other. Does that sound like a fun work environment where like your coworkers are always at arm's length? Don't let them know really too much about you. Don't tell them you're upset or anything or worried about anything with the job because they might be spying on you and trying to sabotage you. Welcome to the real world. And Elaine won't give a shit. Elaine will use it as an excuse if they want to get rid of you anyway because they think you're costing them too much money. And they could be making more money by replacing you with an illegal immigrant and freeing up your lot space, your RV lot space. Yeah, that bitch cunt, Dumptruck, told me, I shouldn't be talking to my coworkers about anything about my life. And like they're my friends or anything. When everybody on that, it's a small little island with a small little community of people who live there regularly. Everybody else is like a tourist there for a weekend. A small amount of people. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny community. Like, duh, we're going to talk to each other about ourselves. Duh. And with what you pay us, Elaine, we can't freaking afford a therapist, bitch. So yeah, we spill the beans about ourselves to each other over like oyster roasts and down at the bar and stuff, the stuff I've overheard, the stuff I've talked about, so on and so forth. It's all right in line with like people. Oh, and even Rennie was like, see, we're like good, we're family, like sitting around together, like Jorge even hosted like a little dinner in the main office. We made us all like taquitos and stuff, and we're all sitting around there talking about ourselves and our lives and such. I remember talking with Tracy about learning to play pool with my dad at the bar. Stuff like that. So, but we're not, that's a no-no, guys. Anybody out on that island, no. According to Elaine, no. None of you can be friends. You're not allowed to know anything personal or private about each other. Welcome to the real world. Welcome. Everybody has to be suspicious of one another. According to Elaine. You never know when someone's going to be stabbing you in the back. You'd think she would sooner get rid of the saboteur. Who's like making it so that people can't trust one another on that island. No, he's their little spy. Remember how he lets them look at his phone and see his conversations with you guys. They're not going to get rid of their little spy. Their spy guy. They're going to use him to gather information on all of you so they have lots of reasons they can get rid of you whenever they decide to. And probably whatever other illegal immigrants are there. Don't make friends with illegal immigrants because David will just come up to them and demand that they tell them, spill the beans. Yeah. So, and, Banana's insulting and rude and mean and nasty, telling me that I should go seek a therapist. Honey, I've been told by professional therapists that I'm better at psychology than a lot of licensed therapists. Maybe you should go see a therapist, Dumptruck. You know, Elaine, I have this theory that if you lack integrity of spirit, it'll show in your body. That might be why you don't have a waistline. You don't have a lot of internal integrity. So it's reflected on your outside. Just saying. It's just a theory. Just a theory. Maybe instead of a diet plan, you should work on your character, Elaine. Anyway. Yeah, so we're not allowed to talk to one another about our lives. And we can seek therapy. And what was it? What was the rest? Oh, yeah. Oh, and she's like, did I say? She's like, you're lucky I'm not extending it 5 days, your pay. So again, like, yeah, they could have sent me my paycheck over PayPal all those times. They chose not to. They knew they were fucking me up. They didn't care. They were probably doing it on purpose because they wanted it to reach, like, they wanted the problems to reach like a fever pitch for me so that they would have more reason to get rid of me. Because I worked my ass off, did my damnedest to do really well at that bar and do really well at my job. That's just who I am. I started being trained in the visual arts with art lessons at the age of 4. So you can only have so many like lessons before so many times from the age of 4 to sit still and focus and make yourself create a 2D image of another one that you're looking at over here, like, and figure out, like, pick it apart, figure out what you're doing wrong, right? Like, it's what's ingrained, what comes with that is like, do the best you can. Do it just for the sake of doing it, okay? Don't half-ass it. So it's ingrained in me. I'm not good at half-assing jobs. It's just not, I feel, it feels weird. I don't like it. If I didn't like 95%. It just feels like I'll make it up tomorrow or something. Because I just can't. So that's the kind of person I am. So I imagine when it came to my work in the barn, they were struggling to find reasons to get rid of me and then had to resort to saboteur tactics and spy games and let's emotionally compromise her. Oh, again, like then after Jorge like gathered all the information on me, then he started bringing up stuff again over and over that he knew I didn't really want to talk about too much. Like, how I don't have a great relationship with my mom. She's kind of controlling. Like my ex, the fact that I'm not married, I don't have any kids yet. That's kind of a sore point. I don't like that. Exactly, of course, pushing 40. Like, even in the last, like, week or two that I was there, he was asking me, like, you sure you're not married? You never been married? No kids? Like, yeah, dude, I thought we established this 2 months ago or so. Like, I thought you understood that well and clear. Because even back then, I had to say it, like, 2-3 times before it seemed to sink in. Like, yeah, no, definitely, I'm very sure I've never been married. And I'm very sure I had one daughter and she's passed. Why you keep asking me, dude? So, yeah. Elaine Crowell is a total bitch cunt. Just gonna put that one out there for the world and all the work campers out there. Beware Cedar Island Ranch on Cedar Island in North Carolina. Those people who run that place suck monkey balls. I'm gonna go eat my dinner. Good night.